Tonight, 2 suspects were arrested by Carbondale police after a police chase. More coming up. Plus, Nathan King, 46 of Carterville, was found guilty in Williamson County of predatory criminal sexual assault of a child. More next. And a Carbondale woman was sentenced to 9 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections. Those stories and more tonight on a Thursday night edition of News 24 at 5. And good evening. Thanks for joining us. It is Thursday, November 8th, 2018. We have a lot of news to get to, but we begin in Carbondale, where 2 suspects were arrested by Carbondale police after a short chase. Officials said at around 1:52 p.m. yesterday, Best Buy employees say the 2 suspects hid more than $200 of merchandise and left the store without offering payment. The suspects were later identified as 19-year-old Dennis D. M. Jones and 20-year-old Lamont P. D. Brinson. Employees told officials they confronted the 2 who then fled the scene in their vehicle. Later that day at 2:52 p.m., a caller to the department said near Dollar General at Giant City in West Walnut, a person pointed a gun at them. The caller gave the same vehicle and suspect description as that of the Best Buy suspect. Officers say they found the vehicle and took both suspects into custody. Brinson was charged with aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, aggravated assault, UUW by a felon, possession of a stolen firearm, resisting a police officer, possession of a controlled substance, endangering the life and health of a child, felony retail theft, and disorderly conduct. He was incarcerated in the Jackson County Jail. Johns was charged with retail theft and endangering the life and health of a child. She posted bond and was released. An infant was also present in the vehicle, according to officials. They recovered a handgun and stolen merchandise from Best Buy, along with narcotics from the vehicle. There were no injuries as a result of this incident, and the infant child was released to the family. The investigation in the incident continues. Nathan King, 46 of Carterville, was found guilty in a Williamson County courtroom of predatory criminal sexual assault of a child. The charge is a Class X felony. A guilty verdict was given out yesterday. King was arrested on June 20th, 2016, after Carterville police say they received a report of a sexual assault of a juvenile on June 17th. The victim was 6 years old at the time. The DNA evidence was offered by the state. Zanotti says King had no prior criminal history of sexual abuse and that King is in the U.S. on a visa. He is an Australian citizen. King's sentencing is set for January 2019. He faces from 6 to 60 years in prison. A Carbondale woman was sentenced to 9 years in IDOC. Joseph L. Warren, 50, was sentenced on the charge of aggravated battery after being found guilty by a Jackson County jury. The jury heard testimonies from the victim, an eyewitness, and police officers who said on April 14th, Warren walked aggressively toward a female who had a brief relationship with and struck her in her face. The woman fell face first onto the concrete and lost consciousness. The investigation was conducted by the Carbondale Police Department. To the weather, where after a cool day, more cold conditions are incoming. Here's Terry in with the latest. All right, thanks, Terry. Turning back to Carbondale this evening, we are right on track with the growing number of states to legalize marijuana to some capacity. After the 2018 midterms, SIU Carbondale is set to offer new programs focused on educating students on production of the plant. The programs will be twofold. One will be focused on the research of industrial hemp, the other on educating students on growing actual cannabis. With 33 states in the nation's capital having some form of legal weed, Jones says the timing is perfect for these programs to start and really benefit students and the school. Right now, Jones said the school has approval from the DEA and land set aside on SIUC property to grow the hemp. The fine details of the medical marijuana part of the program are still being worked out. A nonprofit group is grading hospitals across the country on how well they protect patients. The hospital safety grade scores hospitals on how safe they keep their patients from errors, injuries, accidents, and infections. Locally, SSM Good Samaritan in Mount Vernon got an A. Heron Hospital and Memorial Hospital of Carbondale got C's. Well, the 2018 midterm elections are over, and now Jackson County leaders are raising ballot concerns. However, one candidate in Jackson County doesn't seem to realize those concerns and is telling his supporters on Facebook that he plans to investigate what's going on. Jay Wittenborn is running for county clerk and recorder in Jackson County against Frank Byrd. As of right now, Byrd is ahead by just about 1,000 votes. However, since Election Day, vote totals for the race and others have been fluctuating, causing Wittenborn to post this on his campaign Facebook page. Remember, Wittenborn is running to be the guy counting all the votes in the county. So, to sort out these concerns, we spoke to Larry Reinhardt, the current Jackson County recorder, who is retiring from the position this year after 20 years. He reminds us that there are more ballots filled out than just the ones from Election Day polling places. The midterm election year in Jackson County, there were record numbers of early mail-in ballots and absentee ballots cast. According to Reinhardt, over 5,300 were cast. Of those, he said there are still about 375 they still need to wait on. Reinhardt said that there were also between 600 and 700 grace period voters this year. Those are people who registered to vote the day of the election. He said that some of those still need to be counted. He also said about 15,000 people came to the polls on Election Day. The cutoff, or canvass date, as Reinhardt referred to it, is on November 20th, when all results are final. Until then, he said many totals can and will fluctuate. This is why it works in most states, according to Reinhardt. Much more local news, sports, and weather is coming up next, but first, here's the latest in national news in your Fox News Update.
In Fox News, the latest briefing just held in California on last night's mass shooting. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. An ex-Marine, the suspect, believed to have killed himself after opening fire at a bar west of LA that was hosting a college night event.
Within a split second, everyone yelled, "Get down." We didn't take it seriously at first. It's kind of like you freeze because it sounded like firecrackers.
And the gunman was throwing smoke grenades all over the place.
12 people were killed, including a longtime sheriff's sergeant. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal is live in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah, the FBI evidence response teams are here from LA. More are coming from other cities. The FBI agent here who spoke at that briefing said they're looking at Ian David Long's home and his car, and those response teams are helping with this investigation. They say they're looking, of course, at his past to see if he's been, quote, radicalized or had any known associates. Long was a Marine, served in Afghanistan in 2010. He was awarded multiple medals and commendations according to the Marine Corps, and was also a machine gunner. The sheriff here in Ventura County says they were called to his house this past April. He was disturbing the peace, and a mental health crisis team talked to him. He wasn't detained, but the sheriff says they think he might have been suffering from PTSD, Lisa.
Thanks, Jessica. Meantime, the Marine Corps' top officer calls the shooting despicable and excommunicated Long today. It's not clear yet why Long left the service in 2013. Meantime, a different kind of crisis in Northern California. At least 27,000 people ordered to evacuate a wildfire that started early today, spreading quickly near the town of Paradise. On the immigration front, a piece of breaking news, a new rule just announced by Homeland Security to enforce what the president had already said, that anyone entering the southern border with Mexico illegally will not be allowed to seek asylum. This is Fox News.
Stop.
10, 10, and you're not going to believe this! Another 10! Sir, your order? Oh, wow. Thanks for that.
It feels like a big win when you get a deal like this. Introducing McDonald's new $6 Classic Meal Deal. Choose one of 4 favorites. Plus, any size soft drink, small fries, and a pie. All for just $6.
We refuse to do things the easy way because building is what we do. Partner with us because time is money. Quality is everything. You should love where you live. Cooking with Mom. Weekend get-togethers. That's what it's about. Proudly local and here to partner with you. Right to its I am the new DQ Hungry Up deal. 3 deals to choose from at $4, $5, or $6 with chicken strips, fries, and a mini blizzard. 3 deals for the hungry-ish, hungry, and even hangry. Because I'm not fast food, I am fan food.
However you say happy holidays, say it on a cake from DQCakes.com. You can choose from hundreds of designs, and in a few easy clicks, pick a cake, pick a design, and create the perfect holiday cake. Say happy holidays at DQCakes.com.
Continue All right, looking forward to some of that snow. Thanks, Terry. Turning to Jackson County tonight, where big races brought out a record-setting voter turnout across the nation. More than 113 million voters cast ballots in the midterm election on Tuesday. Southern Illinois voters also broke records. Gallatin County saw a 59% turnout. Johnson and Williamson counties hit 60%, and in Union County, a 63% turnout. Jackson and Williamson counties both saw a major increase from the last midterm election. Between the two counties, almost 50,000 people came out to vote in Tuesday's election, which surprised county clerks. Larry Reinhardt has been with the Jackson County Clerk's office for 20 years and says he has never seen a voter turnout like this. In the last midterm elections in 2014, more than 16,000 voted, or 41%, in Jackson County, and nearly 21,000, or 48%, voted in Williamson County. During Tuesday's midterm election, each county saw 5,000 more voters. That's 20,000, or 50% voters in Jackson County, and 27,000, or 60% of voters in Williamson County. Political scientist Dr. John Jackson at the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute at SIU says this election was the biggest he has ever seen. With the next major election just 2 years away, Johnson says to expect an even higher voter turnout for the presidential election. Shh! County clerks in both Williamson and Jackson counties said they had about 5,000 people early vote for the midterm election, which is more than normal. When comparing this midterm election to a presidential election, both said this midterm election fell short by about 5,000 voters. Much more local news, sports, and weather is up next. I'm Aaron Price. Thanks for joining us.